Okay, our third type of repair is more of a structural damage. Remember, we were using the leather fillers before. The deep leather fill, leather fill. These products that are listed as fillers really don't hold much structurally. So if we have damage where we need to hold the leather together, we're going to use a repair compound. In this case, we're going to use the leather repair compound. Traditionally, in this business, a compound refers to a heat-cured product, whereas a filler refers to an air-dry product. So here we're going to use the leather compound, and we're going to use our ironing method of applying the heat. The reason for this is that were we to use a heat gun in this area, it might pucker right in the center of this leather panel, and we would have deep pucker lines that would be very difficult to rectify at that point. But by the application with the iron, we can maintain a nice flat repair. And of course, flat is the most important thing because we can use a variety of texturing applications to finish it off. The first thing that we'd like to mention is, since we're using a heat-cured compound, the leather will not melt like vinyl will. So we can't get that kind of bond. So what we'd like to do is rough up the leather around the repair area, and that would let the compound go in between the leather fibers and get a good grip on the surface. To do that, we're going to use a single-edge razor blade and just go around the area We're taking off the finish, leaving the leather fibers to get a good grip here, okay? Prior to our application of the leather repair compound, though, we're going to insert a sub-patch. For the sub-patch, we've elected to use a very thin sub-patch composed of masking tape applied to the mesh. And the purpose of the sub-patch in this application, like so many others, is not for repairing as much as it is to separate the leather from the foam, separate the leather compound from the foam. Now we're ready for our application of the leather compound. Try to limit it to just the area that we roughed up. The things that are important, if you remember, in the ironing application is the grain, the paper grain. We're going to iron through the paper. The shiny side is down, the dull side is up, and we want to have our chill bar handy to cool the paper down. Before pulling the paper all the way off, we want to gradually peel it back and make an inspection to see if we've cured our repair material. And in this case, you can see that we have, and it's actually quite a good grain. I can see that my repair is perfect. I do have some imperfections that I may want to tend to. And those imperfections, I can turn my ultra torch off, and use the heat remaining just to smooth out by glancing over the edge, smooth out any small imperfections. Just touch it lightly. And this edge too. Any edges that seem to be showing, we can just touch them and smooth them out like that. Now let me mention also, perhaps a little larger repair. We could also add some mesh, and what we would do in this case is put one more layer of the leather repair compound, embed the mesh into it, another layer of compound, and then iron over this. But this repair came out perfect the first time, so there's no need for a mesh in this instance. At this point, what I'd like to do is to separate our heat-cured compound from all the successive top coats by use of barrier coat. Barrier coat, of course, serves to keep the plasticizers from migrating to the surface. And I'm going to accelerate the drying of that a little bit here. Okay. Now, as an option, any imperfections that we see, we can use now from our list of leather fill products: the deep leather fill, the leather fill, leather soft fill acts like a spot putty for filling in small pinholes, and then of course our leather cream fill to give us a final smooth finish. We haven't shown the leather soft fill yet, so let's show how we might use that in these really small problem areas where we have some pits. What I would recommend on the leather soft fill, put it in place, try to swipe it just one time so that you don't dig it out as it dries on there. And we're going to use a spreader for that. Put it just in areas we need it, and try, if we can, I'm going to have to do one more application on this side. Now I'm going to let that dry. Our repair looks excellent. And one thing we would like to introduce to you that we haven't been able to show yet, and that is the leather clone. Leather clone is important, especially when we want to imprint lines of grain through our leather repair. If we were going to use a pebbly or stippled texture, we could use a spray grain. But in this instance, let's try to put some lines through our repair to give it some definition. To do that, we will apply our leather clone to the area, one light coat for a tack coat. This tack coat works good for adhesion initially. We'll just dry that lightly. Just to speed our demonstration along. Now the next coat needs to be a heavy coat so that we can get an imprint of our grain. And as you can see, I've selected a grain pad that has lines of grain so that it'd be nice to take a single line of grain and just run it right through the middle of our repair. And that way any imperfections remaining in the repair will just help to contribute to the grain as well. One heavy coat of leather clone. Like that. Then we're going to put the clone activator on our grain pad. This will separate the grain pad from the leather clone so it doesn't stick. I'm going to choose the line through the middle and put that directly in the center of my repair. I am going to hold this with a medium pressure for about 1 minute. So let's dab a little of that excess activator and use the hair dryer . Let's add a little guide coat of color here just to help show the grain. Okay, now on inspection of this, I see a pinhole here, and here. We also have a little bit of a halo effect around our repair. So what are we going to do? Well, first of all, let's use some of the leather soft fill to just touch these pinholes. And then, quite typically, we never really get the grain that we're looking for with just one application of the leather clone. Most generally, you need a second. So after filling these areas, let's put on our second application of the leather clone and see if we can get a nice uniform texture through the whole area. And that's all we need there. Now we're going to use a heavy coat of leather clone. Our activator on the pad, and we're going to run this line through the center of our repair. And we're going to hold that for about 1 minute. We'll dab that excess moisture and dry. Let's add a guide coat of color to see how our grain looks. At this point, we can be very happy with the repair. Of course, the area is shiny, and that's due to the leather clone. And this application. So what I want to do is probably put 2 light coats of color to dull the finish down. And of course, this coat will be to blend it overall. So we can be very happy with that for sure. So we've seen that we can do 3 types of leather repairs in a very short time. We had the sand away product that lets us get rid of the damage in the finish itself. We have fillers which we can use to fill the minor imperfections, the deep leather fill, the leather fill, and the leather cream fill. And as we showed on this last repair, the leather soft fill is used to fill the pinholes. We have a variety of textures that we can choose from. We have the water-based spray grain. We have the VM12, which is also a water-based spray grain. We have the leather clone product as an option when we need to clone in lines of grain. And we can use the leather clone also as a spray grain itself if we elect to. So I'm sure you can see that it's very easy. There's a few basic skills, and you'll be right in making money on, in many areas, the most demanded form of repair, that's leather repair.